If you don't have anything to say, you blab. You just go on and 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 on.
Get ready, because the moment we've all been waiting for is here. After years of Whoopi Goldberg silencing opposing voices, dismissing guests like they were mere props, and running The View like her own private empire, someone finally pushed back. And let's just say, Whoopi never saw it coming. And Karoline Leavitt.
Voters do not agree with these despicable women on The View. They are wildly out of touch with the vast majority of Americans, and frankly, they should seek immediate help.
This wasn't just a debate, it was a live, on-air takedown. Karoline Leavitt didn't merely challenge Whoopi Goldberg, she dismantled her. With pinpoint precision, she exposed the double standards, sliced through the usual theatrics, and left the entire panel in stunned silence. It was a moment unlike anything we've ever seen on The View, and now the fallout is explosive. ABC execs are reportedly scrambling behind the scenes, and the whispers of major shakeups are starting to sound more like warning sirens. As for Whoopi, her long-standing reign might finally be slipping. So, what exactly did Karoline say that left Whoopi humiliated in front of a national audience? Oh, you're going to want to hear every word. But before we dive in, if you're all about unfiltered truth and bold political showdowns, hit that like button and subscribe, so you never miss a moment.
And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you, because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
Karoline came in swinging, calling out what she described as the most divisive and toxic speech she's ever heard from a U.S. president. She accused Joe Biden of effectively declaring war on half the country, and from the moment she stepped onto the set, it was nonstop fireworks.
Because we believe in putting America first. It's not radical to want to put your country and your own people first. It's not radical to want to have a strong border.
What was meant to be a dialogue quickly turned into a full-blown ambush. Whoopi, sporting her trademark smug look, was already rolling her eyes before Karoline even got through her opening line.
Trickling its way through every institution in this country. The public school system, the higher education university system, Hollywood, big tech.
Joy Behar didn't hesitate for a second. She jumped right in with one of her signature spiteful jabs, cranking up the heat without missing a beat.
The corrupt mainstream media that I fought against in President Trump's White House are indoctrinating my generation of Americans into hating our country, hating one another based on race.
This wasn't a debate, it was a scripted ambush. The hosts of The View clearly believed they could steamroll Karoline with a barrage of woke talking points and silence her. But what happened next? Let's just say they never saw it coming.
She's probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
I want to be clear, though. It's not her first job. It was her first press briefing. She worked in the previous Trump administration.
Karoline didn't flinch. She fired back instantly, questioning whether women are now being judged solely on their looks and if being attractive somehow disqualifies you from being intelligent. Let's be real. Karoline's resume speaks for itself. She graduated from St. Anselm College, reported for WUR in New Hampshire, launched a congressional campaign at just 25, and by 27, she became the youngest ever White House press secretary. She handled high-stakes press briefings with confidence, no giant binder, no stammering, just clear, sharp delivery. And Whoopi. Lately, her main contributions seem to be snide remarks and dramatic eye rolls. At this point, it's looking less like valid criticism and a lot more like plain old jealousy.
She lost by 8 or 9 points, but she still put on a good campaign. Then she was the press secretary for the Trump campaign, going on TV literally every day.
Karoline stood her ground with grace and strength, even while heavily pregnant and juggling life as a new mom. Facing a panel more interested in tearing her down than engaging in real dialogue, she didn't just survive the moment, she owned it. Calm, composed, and completely unshaken, she walked into a room charged with hostility and never once backed down. No flinching, no fumbling. Just firm, unbreakable confidence. The hosts of The View threw everything they had at her, but Karoline didn't blink. Instead, she flipped the script. She called out what so many viewers have long suspected. The View isn't about diverse opinions. It's an echo chamber. One narrative, 5 different voices. Dissent isn't debated, it's silenced. And Karoline wasn't having it. She didn't shout. She didn't rant. She came armed with facts, figures, and receipts delivered in a calm, clear tone that cut through the noise. Even when Joy tried to interrupt, Karoline didn't miss a beat. She stayed focused, redirected the conversation, and kept control. As the exchange unfolded, it wasn't Karoline who looked rattled. It was Joy. Flustered, grasping for talking points, visibly thrown off. Karoline didn't just hold her own, she exposed just how weak the show's usual tactics look when someone walks in actually prepared.
I would like to talk about Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who you work for.
I am stating facts that your colleagues have stated in the past.
Okay,
now, as
I'm
for
sorry,
this
guys.
debate,
We're going to come back out to the panel. Karoline, thank you very much for your time.
Then came the moment, the kind of line that doesn't just land, it echoes. Karoline locked eyes with the panel and dropped a bombshell. You sit up here preaching women's empowerment, but the second a conservative woman finds success, you reduce it to her looks. That's your definition of empowerment. The room froze. No laughter, no snide remarks, no clever comebacks, just dead silence. Even Joy Behar, the queen of interruptions, was speechless, her trademark zingers nowhere to be found. But Karoline wasn't done. Calm, collected, and razor-sharp, she pressed on. She called out what she labeled the real face of wokeness, not a movement for equality, but a tool to silence anyone who dares to think differently. Then, with laser focus, she turned to Whoopi and delivered a gut punch of a truth bomb. No one embodies that silencing tactic more clearly than you day after day, in front of a national audience. It wasn't angry, it wasn't emotional. It was chilling in its precision. Not an insult, an indictment, unapologetic, unfiltered, and absolutely unshakable. The reaction was instant. Audible gasps, shifting in seats. The smug energy in the room flipped into stunned disbelief. And outside that studio, the internet detonated. Clips went viral across Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. The comment sections were on fire. Debates exploded. Viewers were split, but one thing was clear. Karoline had just turned the tables. Hashtags like Whoopi exposed. Karoline Unleashed and The View Owned started trending at warp speed inside ABC. Panic mode. According to insiders, it was full-blown damage control. Because for the first time in a long time, The View wasn't running the narrative they were trying. To catch up to it.
Now, do you think this is going to make people doubt whether CNN can stay objective, or is this more of the same of, everybody's against me?
Karoline Leavitt didn't waste a second. Standing confidently at the press podium, eyes locked on a sea of skeptical reporters, she cut straight to the heart of the matter. No small talk, no pandering. She accused the media of spreading lies and made one thing crystal clear. Her team wasn't going to stay silent while misinformation ran rampant. We won't let misinformation slide, she declared, her voice unwavering. And yes, we will call it out even when it's coming from you, then. Came the line that exploded online. Karoline quipped she wasn't even sure if Biden was in the Oval Office or just upstairs taking a nap. The room went dead silent. Reporters tensed. And just like that, she shifted gears, reminding them of the bigger issues at hand. Egg prices up 65%, a clear reflection of the administration's failures. Message received. The fallout? Immediate. ABC's top brass were reportedly in panic mode. Leaked insider info flooded social media. Executives scrambled. Phones were buzzing. Sponsors started getting nervous, worried their brands were getting dragged into a political dumpster fire, but then something no one saw coming. Whoopi Goldberg didn't show up. No warning. No explanation. ABC released a vague statement saying she was taking time to reflect on recent discussions. Sure. The subtext, though, was louder than the words. The once unassailable queen of The View was suddenly on shaky ground. Now, ABC faces a brutal crossroads. Clean house and inject some ideological balance into a show clearly losing steam, or double down and risk the whole thing collapsing. The View has always thrived on controversy, but now? The backlash is starting to outweigh. The buzz credibility is fading fast. Viewers are tuning out. Advertisers are backing away. And ratings? They're sinking like a stone. All signs point to one shocking possibility. Did Karoline Leavitt just deliver the final blow to The View? Now it's your turn. Was Karoline's takedown the most savage moment in View history? Has Whoopi finally overstayed her welcome? Should ABC show her the door? And most importantly, are we witnessing the end of The View? Sound off in the comments.